If you guys want to go ahead and just introduce yourself. Vicki, do you want to start?
Hi, I'm Vicki Greeno. I'm the Memory Care Business Development Specialist for American Senior Communities. We're the largest long-term care provider in the state of Indiana, and largest memory care provider in the state of Indiana as well. And I'm just happy to be here and be part of this panel. I serve as the Marketing and Outreach Chair for the Indianapolis Walk to End Alzheimer's chapter walk. So just really excited to be part of that and part of this group.
And then Tara, I'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Tara Hastings. I am a meteorologist at Wish TV in Indianapolis. I moved here about a year and a half ago from Dayton, Ohio. Loving Indianapolis. I grew up in Northwest Indiana in Hammond. So back to my Hoosier roots, and I'm excited to be here. My grandmother had Alzheimer's, and my father is currently dealing with early onset Alzheimer's. So I am a caregiver.
And Kevin?
Hey, I'm Kevin Myers. I work at College Park Church, just moved here a little less than a year ago. So just still figuring out how to be a Hoosier, but loving it. It's been great. I moved here from Philadelphia, and originally, so I was out there for a couple years and started in Illinois. And so I've been in 3 different chapters, which has been kind of fun. I've been in the Central Illinois chapter, the Philadelphia chapter, and then now the Greater Indianapolis one. And it's been incredible. My connection to the cause is my mom had early onset and actually just passed away last year from early onset Alzheimer's.
Thank you for sharing, Kevin. And Renee?
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Renee Curry, and I live on the north side. I moved to Indy about 15 years ago, so I'm kind of a transplant from the south. I grew up in North Carolina, and I claim Tennessee as well. So my little claim to fame is that I went to college with Peyton Manning. So I figured I would be well welcomed. But my father had Alzheimer's, and he passed away in 2018 as a result of it. So I was his caretaker. So shout out to all you caretakers out there. I don't know how y'all are doing it during this difficult time. My thoughts are with you every day.
Thanks, Renee, for sharing. And then my name is Lydia Robinson. I work for the Alzheimer's Association. I've been there for almost 2 years now. And I manage the Indianapolis Walk along with Julie Moore. And then I also manage the Lafayette, Indiana Walk. So I have a pretty wide spread. It's always a joke in my family because I'm a diehard IU fan that, of course, my job would take me to Purdue. So gotta love the Crimson, though. So thanks everyone for coming in. People are still commenting where they are joining us from. So we have Heartland, Bloomington, Columbus, a lot of Greenwood, Indiana, Brownsburg. Let's see, it's exciting. Some more Indianapolises. So thank you everyone. Oh, and then coming in from Greenwood, but originally from Poland. That's my mom. Gonna shout her out. Representing well. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming, and let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to go in alphabetical order here. So Kevin, if you wouldn't mind sharing your story with us about why you walk and why you do this every year in honor of your mom.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, my mom was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. This was in 2012 at the age of 46. Which is one of the earliest diagnoses, sure, that Illinois has seen, at least the experts that we were working with. And for us, it was really interesting because for about a year and a half before that, we were going through tests and trying to figure out, we knew that something was wrong, but we didn't know what. And so we started our journey actually with about a year and a half of having no answers, which is really tough. And then after receiving the diagnosis, we had about a year of trying to figure out what that meant, of trying to kind of go into family rally mode. My dad is an analyst for State Farm and just did an incredible job of researching and just learning how to love my mom well in those first couple of years, and obviously on from there as well. But I think that one of the thing that makes my story a little unique is that I was still in high school when my mom was diagnosed. So I was a junior in high school and lived at home for 2 years with her. And so seeing her decline, and really Alzheimer's up to that point for me was something that my friend's grandparents got, or something that was a short-term thing, and I didn't really understand it. And so living through my mom's progression from being this super strong, independent woman who she was a lunch lady at my junior high growing up, and was known as the nice lunch lady because she just loved people so well, and was always just so joyful. And so fast forwarding a couple of years, I graduated high school and ended up staying at home for 2 more years, going to community college to help my dad be a caregiver for my mom, and being able to supply whatever they needed from when she became not mobile, being able to be there to help her around the house, to feed her, to change her if necessary, and all of that sort of stuff. And I think that something that's really important, and something important to me about my story, is that my mom, sometimes you hear within Alzheimer's, you have people who get frustrated, and how to kind of walk through that with them. And my mom never lost any of her joy, even in the midst of the loss of her cognition. And so she was always still that fun-loving, laughing woman that she'd always been. And so even in the midst of the hard times, if you are a caregiver right now, or have gone through a loss because of Alzheimer's, I encourage you, continue to remember those moments where you could laugh. Continue to remember those moments that you can hold on to. And so after a couple of years of that, I was a caregiver from afar as I went off to college and moving out to Philly and things like that. But the thing that really sticks out to me is the way that the Alzheimer's Association helped my family. So we got really involved with the walk. I believe it was 2014, and really kind of hit it hard with getting a team together. And it was all people who loved my mom and who rallied around her, and would come and would sit with her so my dad could have a break, or my sister who would come home from Indianapolis on the weekends to, again, give my dad a break. And I think that the Walk to End Alzheimer's has specifically given us a sense of what it means to have a team, and what it means to have people who care about you and who love not only the person struggling with the disease, but also the caregivers and the family surrounding them. So about April of last year, my mom finished her journey with Alzheimer's, and she passed away a couple weeks before Easter. And since then, my dad and I have kind of ramped up joining the committee, and being able to offer as much help as we can. I know for me, the helpline has been incredibly instrumental and helpful. I was encouraged to go see a counselor, which was not something that I thought that would be helpful for me, but ended up being very helpful in processing everything with my mom, from her losing her ability to walk and to drive and to do all of those things, and go through the progression to now continuing on her legacy and remembering who she was, and helping her live on through my life, my sister's life, and my dad's life.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Kevin. Your sister, Kara, is also a volunteer with us and has been for a while. And every time I hear your story or her story, I just choke up a little bit, just knowing how close I am to my own mom and my own family. It's always incredible to see how your family has really come back and rallied around. I know that you had said that you guys walk now and you're becoming this great team, and you guys walk to really give back to the association, and thank you so much for that. Would you mind maybe sharing your favorite walk moment with us, especially since you participated in a couple of different walks?
Yeah, so something that my family started doing a couple years ago, we're super competitive. So my dad had a team in Illinois, my sister had a team here in Indianapolis, and then I had a team out in Philadelphia. And the ability to make it a competition of who could raise the most money and do all of that. My dad destroyed us, but it's fine. But the important thing is I beat my sister. But the thing that I love about that is that it gave us an opportunity to share our story consistently. And so that year in particular, we were able to raise over $10,000 just between the three of us, between our three teams. And because of being able to make it fun and a competition, we were able to share stories with people. People would reach out, and we'd be able to connect them with the Alzheimer's Association to tell them if they were in the early stages of diagnosis, to like be able to point them to the right areas and different resources that we could use. So I think that whole year was just really exciting. And in the midst of a really, really hard year, as my mom started declining quite a bit, being able to have some joy in that and really invest in the Alzheimer's Association.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. I know you said earlier in your story as well that your mom was 46 when she was diagnosed.
Yep.
Do you mind sharing how old was she when she passed away?
She was 53.
53 years old. Okay. Well, thanks for just being brave enough to come share your story and your mom's story. And again, hearing you talk about her and how much joy she had, and she clearly brought a lot of joy to your life too. And Willie commented and said, big props for the courage to share the importance of your own mental health throughout this experience. And just want to thank you for that as well, because we do see a lot of caregivers who struggle, especially once their loved one has passed away, just moving forward. So thank you so much for sharing that story with us. Anything else you would like to say? If not, I'm going to ask Renee if you're willing to share your story as well today.
Yeah, just to piggyback off the mental health thing, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. For me, it was actually a sign of strength, overcoming some fears that I had. And one of the most important things for my family was knowing we weren't in this alone. And so don't hesitate to reach out. Don't hesitate to reach out to the association, to friends. That call line is a lifesaver. So there are resources out there, and I really encourage you to use them.
Yeah, and all of our resources at the association are free. So if you do need help or you want to call somebody, we will make sure the 1-800 number is posted inside of the comments for anybody who would like to have it. But that service is free, and you will get put with a professional who's able to talk to and help you through any of the situations that you might want to go to. And thank you, Kevin, for pointing that out as well, because I think your family's had a great experience with it. Especially like talking to your sister again, I've become very close with her. You guys have all had a great experience with it. So I really appreciate you, and thank you again for sharing your story. I know that it's really going to be meaningful for a lot of people. I'm going to turn over to Renee now. Renee, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and then maybe sharing with us why you walk.
Sure. So again, my name is Renee Curry, and I was my dad's caretaker until he passed away in 2018. So he was also diagnosed in 2012, but he was 68, and then he passed away at 74. So with my experience at the time, my parents were together, and we didn't realize, we actually just thought that Dad was being a jerk. He's highly functioning. He's very smart. I think for many, many years, like looking back, understanding now like the disease better, looking back through the years, we kind of think that we started to see some symptoms prior to 2012. But by that time, we really just thought that he was this jerk who just like was gonna, he was swindled out of like $200,000. And so, which is just when we're trying to talk to this man who's been such a success in his life about managing money, it really drives a wedge. So that's what happened with my parents' relationship. They ended up separating. But I mean, looking back, I don't know if things could have been different had we realized that he had Alzheimer's, right? So, so then after that happened, he was finally diagnosed with dementia. And I eventually moved him to Indianapolis and became his caretaker. And he kind of progressed from living in a condo to independent living, to assisted living, to memory care. And I would say, like, the first thing, like, when I realized that I was going to be my dad's caretaker, the first thing I did, aside from becoming his power of attorney, was stopping by the Alzheimer's Association. Like, I popped in, like, I was literally driving by, I saw the sign, and I pulled over. I had no idea what I was going to do or ask or what. I just basically walked in and just said, hey, like, my dad was just diagnosed, like, what next, right? And so they were able to kind of give me some guidance and a nice kind of booklet that kind of helped me drive the conversations I needed to take care of my dad. I really wish I had utilized the 1-800 call, like that hotline. I think that would have been great to have remembered back then, because when you're in it, it's just so hard to think about all the stuff that's available to you. So I think that's why that's why I started to walk. So last year was my first walk. As a caretaker, I mean, I always wanted to help out with the walk, the bandwidth in order to do it. And so after he passed away, I decided that it was something I wanted to do. And coincidentally, my employer was a sponsor last year for the first time of the walk. So it really just kind of happened that way. And so I definitely jumped in with both feet to get involved. So for me, it's really about getting the word out and that awareness of the disease, because when you're in that spot and you learn this is what your loved one has, you really don't know what to do next. And so it's raising that awareness that's important to me, and just giving back as much as I possibly can.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we hear that so often, right? And I think the hardest thing to hear is someone letting us know, like, my loved one passed away and then I found out about you. And we have such great resources, and you just happen to be driving by, but that's why we have to get the word out there, because if you weren't happening to be driving by, would you have been able to get the necessary resources? And we have so many great resources. And you make a good point as well, that you were in Tennessee and you still were able to utilize those resources. So it's bigger than just this state. You can be anywhere and get what you need.
Mm-hmm. And then I also love about the Alzheimer's Association is just the studies that they support. You know, I mean, I do believe that there is going to be a cure. I want it to be in my lifetime. And so the fact that I can go out and do something fun, stretch my legs, bring my dog, and make some friends along the way too, and at the same time being able to help kind of fund that research along with the awareness is important to me.
So if anybody doesn't know, we are the third largest funder of research in the world. The Alzheimer's Association funds research on a global scale, and the only two entities right now that are raising more money are the US government and the Chinese government. And then thirdly is the Alzheimer's Association. 78 cents of every dollar goes straight back into programming, research, or care and support for individuals who really do need it. And Renee, you said this was your first year walking, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can you
So
share your favorite moment? A year two, yes.
Yeah, so my favorite moment has to be when everyone, so if you haven't been to the walk, when you arrive, there's a garden and you can choose the level, like the color that represents where you are in the support of finding a cure for Alzheimer's. So each color dictates like where you are in your life. So there's one that's a caretaker, there's, you know, if you've lost someone, if you're just a true supporter. I'm sure, Lydia, you could kind of go through all of them, but my favorite moment is when everyone pulls out their flower and you really see this beautiful garden, because it really does take a community to support everyone. Yeah. So it's nice to know you're not alone.
Absolutely. So purple is you've lost someone to the disease. Orange is you are just a supporter of it, but you have no personal connection. Blue is someone currently living with the disease, and then yellow is a caretaker who's currently taking care of it, taking care of a loved one. And during that ceremony that you're speaking of, at the end of the ceremony, we raise one white flower, and that white flower represents the person who is going to be the first survivor, because we know we are finding a cure for this. And it's I remember my first walk, I was a Sigma Kappa in college, and I had a family member who was diagnosed, and I remember my first walk. That's a very, you were choked up just talking about it right now, but it's a very, very emotional moment. And with a disease where I think you feel so alone as you're caregiving for your loved one, it's a moment that you really can feel the community and you can feel the love coming from that moment. And it's a very powerful one.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
I'm still tearing.
Yeah, it's great. And I love too that you said that you love getting out and stretching your legs and you can bring your dog with you. The walk is a dog friendly event for most places. So I think that's always nice that it's so family friendly and even pet friendly. I mean, I'm a dog mom, so I love being able to take them anywhere with me. But Renee, thank you for having the courage to come and share your story. I know that you have a story that's very unique, but unfortunately a lot of people go through that, especially with elder parents and family members. Sometimes they can get taken advantage of, and so sorry to hear that. We are about halfway through of our stories right now. We're still going to hear from Tara and Vicki, but I just want to encourage everyone right now, if you've been inspired by any of these stories that you've heard so far, to go to alz.org/Indiana/walk and sign up your walk team in your county today. Whether you want to be like Kevin and you want to have a competition and your whole family comes together and fights, you can do that. If you want to be like Renee and come and stretch your legs and bring your dog and your family and just be part of a special community, we encourage you to do it. So again, that link is going to be in the comment section below. We'll make sure that it gets put into there, but that is alz.org/Indiana/walk. So we really want to see everyone who's here today. I've been watching the numbers up and down on my phone, guys, and we've had as many as 60 people at once. So even if we can get one team today to come sign up and join us, it'll be a mission accomplished. So perfect. Kevin, Renee, do you have any parting thoughts or anything else you'd like to add in before we move over to the next two panelists?
I don't think so. I mean, like if you need a team to hop on, you're welcome to join mine. You can search for my name. It's also Beckman Cultural Life Sciences in Indianapolis. We welcome everybody. It doesn't matter who you work for.
Yes.
I was going to plug my team, but my sister and I, we're teaming up to beat my dad this year. So if you want to be a part of that, Cheryl's Holy Guacamole's Indianapolis. That's our team. Would love to have you.
I love it, Kevin. I loved you and your sister volunteer on walk day, and I met you last year. And I think the funny thing is I've called you Kevin Hanley ever since because your sister's married. But you two are literally twins. Like you can tell from a mile away that you guys are siblings.
Yeah, we're the same person. She's just a girl. So.
That's the way my brother and I are. Same.
You guys want to plug your teams one more time?
Renee Curry, Curry, and Beckman Cultural Life Sciences. Yeah.
Kevin Myers, not Hanley, Myers, and Cheryl's CHERYL, Holy Guacamoles. It's like guacamole, but with walk.
Nice.
Thank you, guys. Yes, and Diane Davern in Columbus, Team Reminisce for Columbus is registered, and we are ready to walk. Yes. No matter what, we will be walking this year. So excited. Anne said she's sensing a competition is brewing in the Hanley Myers household.
I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
Yes.
We'll keep you updated. Don't worry.
Right.
Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and move forward. Tara, I'd love to turn it over to you and hear your story. You are right now have a loved one who's living in a long-term care facility, and we'd even love to hear your perspective on how caretaking has changed, especially with the global pandemic that we are in right now.
Oh yeah. So my father is 64 years old and he is in an assisted living facility in Indianapolis. I moved him pretty much almost a year ago, right about a year ago. It just became too much. His safety, I was worried about his safety. And like Renee mentioned, finances, that was also an issue as well. He thought his 401k IRA was a bank account. So I really didn't have too much actual cash to work with. Everything was in the house. So I made the decision to move him down to Indianapolis into an assisted living facility. And it was a really great decision. I'm really happy to have him nearby. And I have that peace of mind and know that he is safe. So that is something really good that I'm happy about. I think, you know, the last couple of months have been really kind of interesting. I have like a wide variety of a big spectrum of how I feel about it. First of all, in some cases, I feel like I have a little bit of extra time because I did feel like on my days off, I have Mondays and Tuesdays off, and I felt on my days off that, you know, I really need to be there for my dad, and I really need to go there, and I need to do his laundry and get him out of the facility and take him to a restaurant or take him shopping. You know, I felt like I had to do that. And now I can't do that. So I feel like I've gained a little bit of time back. But on the flip side of that, I feel that I don't have any control and that I had to literally give away all of my control. I have no idea what it looks like in his room right now. So I don't know if he needs another bag of Doritos, or he has a huge sweet tooth. So cherry pies, he likes those little lunchbox cherry pies. So I don't know how many cherry pies he has left. And if I need to give him more cherry pies, you know, the staff there has been great about letting me know he could use some more snacks. He can use this, he could use that. So, so that's been good, but I have had to surrender that control. And that to me is something that's really hard. He also has really declined in the last year, and so much so that he can't even really use a phone anymore. So even if I call his phone in his room, he's not going to answer. Sometimes I will call, I drop in on the Alexa, and sometimes he just has his TV on really loud and he may not even be in his room. So I do go long stretches, I feel, without even being able to communicate with him. I've done window visits and we've done Skype and Zoom. But unless like someone is there with him, I think he gets very confused. There was one time we did a Zoom call and he was just, the computer was there and he was very confused and didn't really communicate that much with me, and just kind of ended up walking away, going to the bathroom without even telling me. So, so that's been kind of a struggle, and not being able to see him. But the staff has been great there. They've been, one nurse says that she shows him my picture every day and she's like, who is that? And he's like, that's my daughter, Tara. So that warms my heart too. And I know that they're doing their best there as well. So I just have to put my trust and my faith that I'm doing the right thing, they're doing the right thing, and we'll eventually, you know, hopefully soon be able to see each other. I am getting married in August, so I'm hoping that everything is done by August so that he can walk me down the aisle and share that special moment together. So taking it one day at a time. That's what we're doing, just one day at a time.
Yeah, and I think too, something that you mentioned is the isolation part. I mean, we heard it with Renee. This is the disease that can make you feel very isolated. And I think even now with COVID-19, you feel a little bit more so. And on one side, you're, yes, I have all this time back, and it almost probably feels a little bit selfish to be excited about that, but then you're missing this person. I saw on your Facebook too that you had a memory pop up, and it brought tears to my eyes last night. I loved it that you had been working and you decided to just go spend some time with your dad. If you don't mind sharing that story, I just was very touched by it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so my dad was living in Northwest Indiana and in St. John, the region, for those of you who know. And it was, I moved from Dayton, Ohio to Indianapolis, and in order to get closer to him, to be his caregiver and help him out. I'm an only child. He's divorced. He does have a sister. My aunt really helps me out a lot as well. But as far as fully caretaking, I'm the only one that's really available. And so I moved him down last year, and I want to say it was like late April, early May when we fully got him in. And, you know, I was on my days off, I was going back up to the house in Northwest Indiana to try and get it prepared to get it on the market and doing like 14 million things. And on May 20th, it was a Monday, and I decided, it was practice day at the Indianapolis 500. It was chilly, it was cloudy. It wasn't the greatest day. And let me tell you, I had so many things I had to do. I had laundry, I had dishes. I, wasn't in my apartment for weeks on end on my own days off. And so just all these chores were piling up. But I said, if I don't go today, there's literally no other day, and I'm going to have to wait until next year to take him. So I decided I'm going. So I left everything and picked him up, got in the car, and he was so excited. We made it to the track, and we're watching the cars go by, and he's like, "Whoa, they're fast!" And I'm like, "I know." But it was such a wonderful experience. If I obviously this year, I mean, look at what happened. We have to wait until August for the Indy 500. So I'm really glad that I took the time. One of my really good friends, during his retirement ceremony from the Air Force, said, time is a non-renewable resource, use it wisely. And I am so thankful that I said, forget the laundry, forget the dishes, just go. Because I wouldn't have remembered that day that I stayed and caught up and got, all these chores done. But I remember the day that I went to the Indianapolis 500 practice. It was just a practice with my dad, and just the giggles and the smile on his face. It was like he was a little kid. It was so cool. And I couldn't, for me, it was a great experience, but I think like seeing it through his eyes was an even better experience. So, yeah.
I loved that story when I read it last night. I mean, that's just like, it's such a good example of seize the moment, make those memories with your loved ones, and don't wait until tomorrow. So how many times have you walked with us at the Indy Walk, or any St. John's walks, anything?
No, this is my first one. I walked last year. I brought my dad. He had a great time, and we actually walked, I think about halfway. There's a 3 kilometer, right? I think we did that one.
Yeah, there's a 3 mile.
3 mile. Okay. Yeah, we did the 3 mile. My dad came with me, and he was all smiles, and he walked the whole thing, didn't complain about his knees hurting him or anything. So this was my first walk, and he was holding his blue flower high. I got the blue flower in the background. So, and Renee mentioned the Promise Garden, the ceremony with the flowers, everybody holding up the flowers. And that's one of those great moments too, where I'm like, Dad, isn't this pretty? And he looks at me serious, and it was just this powerful voice. And he's like, it's beautiful, And so that was another moment that just really touched me, he may not know what he had for breakfast this morning, but he can, still be able to tell you and realize how amazing a cause this is, and what a special moment it was to see all those flowers up. So.
Yeah, awesome. So we know Kevin had said that it's important for him to give back to the association. That's why his family works so hard. And Renee wants everyone to have awareness. Why do you think it's so important to volunteer with this cause and be a part of the Alzheimer's Association?
I don't know, it feeds my soul, I would say. I think too, it gives me a little bit of purpose. My time and talent is something that I can give. And this is something that's really important to me. It's affected not only myself and my family and my dad, but my dad was a caretaker for my grandmother as well. My grandmother was in her 80s when she had Alzheimer's. And so I think this is something that has just really touched our family, and I do want to give back, and I want to let everyone know that what an amazing cause and organization this is. And I'm a planner, and the moment I figured out something was not right, I was constantly calling that hotline, and it might have been speed dialed into my phone. I don't remember, but asking for help and not being afraid to ask for help and advice and what do I do? And, I was really overwhelmed. And I think that support line, which is completely free, really helped me out. And I want to make sure that support line is still available for others who need help like I did.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I think that's something that's been echoed a lot today. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And in a disease where you are isolated and you can feel so alone and feel like you're the only person in the world who is dealing with what you're dealing with right now. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I just want to share a couple of comments with you too, Tara. Willie said, thank you so much, Tara. That will go down in the record books for IMS moments. Family and connection is more important than any clean clothes.
Amen.
Yes. My husband probably doesn't even want me to say that though, because I have a laundry problem. But Tara, I love your Indy 500 story with your dad. And Tara, you have shared some beautiful memories. So just a lot of thank you. And Anne said, welcome to all my Northwest Indiana region friends. Tara, you're representing so well.
Awesome. Yay, region.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to flip it over then, unless Tara, you have anything else you want to share. Just thank you for sharing first off. And I'll kind of give you last words, and then we're going to flip over to Vicki because I think she has a very unique perspective.
I just would leave you with this. Every day is a new day. There are going to be really, really awesome days, and then there are going to be really, really bad days. And it is completely okay to break down and be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I mean, that is completely natural. And then just wake up the next day, learn from yesterday, and just take it one day at a time, and rely on support from friends and family. You're not in it alone. So.
Thanks, Tara. That was awesome. So Vicki, we're going to flip it over to you. Like I said, and kind of hinted at a little bit ago, I think you have a very unique perspective because you don't actually have a personal connection to the disease, and you've never been a caretaker. So if you can kind of share with us your background and why you walk, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, as Lydia said, I, unlike the other panelists, have never been affected directly by Alzheimer's or like forms of dementia. I have, however, been working closely with this population for about 35 years. Back in the 80s, I was a certified nursing assistant and working in a nursing home and providing direct care to many individuals who had cognitive deficits. And what I found was those folks who had impaired memory really never had the visitors visiting them the way that we see now in our skilled nursing communities. And it really pulled at my heartstrings to think that, gosh, just because this person has some cognitive deficiencies, they don't have family visiting. And why is that? And I just wanted to learn and understand more about that. But I found myself wanting to spend more time with those individuals and really connecting with them and understanding who they are as people, as opposed to just that poor gentleman that can't remember anything. And so that led me into my career path now. And in 2000, I joined American Senior Communities for the first time and spent about 10 years with them and worked as a memory care support specialist managing one of their memory care neighborhoods. And just again, fell in love with the population and the special connectivity that we could have with our residents who are affected with Alzheimer's disease and like forms of dementia. And I just found it really important to continue to provide education, not only to staff members who are providing direct care, but also to community and family members, and helping them understand what to expect and how to interact and how to understand where their loved one was in their disease process. And was just, again, fascinated with Alzheimer's disease. And I think what's so unique about it is, when you look at somebody who has maybe diabetes or has had cardiac issues, you can pretty much gauge how their disease path is going to carry them through. But when you look at somebody with Alzheimer's, because it affects a different part of the brain in every individual, it affects everybody differently. And so some people may have a short trajectory, others may have a very long trajectory. And how do we help family members understand where they are in their staging process and how to best interact with them during that time frame is very important, not only to me, but the organization that I serve. And So with that, I have been involved with the association for about 20 years now, on and off, in many different capacities. And it just brings me a lot of pride to continue to serve as a committee member on the walk committee. And just, the reason I do that is to, again, heighten awareness. We've come a long way from 1980 to 2020 in terms of people having a better understanding. The studies that have been provided, there's now medications that are utilized. In the 80s, there wasn't, and wasn't any that were good for, helping to slow down the disease. But there were a lot of medications that were provided to basically suppress individuals' behavioral expressions that they may have. And, finding ways to do that without the use of medication has come a long, long way now. And people understand the disease process much better now than we ever did back then in the 80s. Not that I want to mention that year again, but so that, that's one of the reasons why I'm just so empowered to learn more and to be associated with the disease in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah. So before we move forward, I just want to thank you for your hard work, and thank you to the healthcare heroes that are right now working at American Senior Communities and all of our long-term memory care facilities in the state. Just, you guys are doing a great job and an awesome job, and thank you for just being that support system. Like Tara had said before, she's unable to see her dad right now, and so those nurses play such a key role to his care right now, being in that facility. So thank you for being one of our healthcare heroes, and thanks for everything that you do. And then wanted to share a few comments with you too. Natalie said, thanks for the work you do and your service to the association. Really, thank you, Vicki. You are leading by example. So grateful for dedicated and caring professionals like Vicki and her colleagues at ASC. So just everyone just coming through and saying thank you. So just wanted to share that with you. So obviously you've been with us for a long time. We don't want to mention the 80s anymore for your sake, but that's a really long time to be walking with us. Can you maybe share your favorite walk memory?
So I have a couple. I did have the opportunity to hold the orange flower at one of the walks, and just to kind of dovetail off what Renee said, wow, it's one thing to be in the crowd and hold a flower up and see the sea of Promise Garden flowers going, but when you're on that stage and you have more of an aerial view of the vast amount of people that are there, I'm getting chills now just thinking about it and reliving it, but what an emotional moment to stand on that stage and look out and just see the support, to see how many purple flowers there were, how many yellow flowers, how many orange, and to know that the white flower was standing next to me was just that glimmer of hope that we will find a cure in the near future. So that's one of my favorite memories. The other one was a couple years ago, and I'm sorry, I don't know her name, but there was a young girl from Zionsville High School that was singing the national anthem. And we had some technical difficulties, and the sound system went dead while she was in the midst of the song. And the whole crowd just joined in singing the national anthem with her and lifted her spirits up. And she just moved forward without even a glitch. And that, Lydia, speaks to what you had mentioned before of community. And just really does show that those who are affected and supporting the Alzheimer's Association, really, it is one big community that's coming together to make things happen and support one another. So those are two of my favorite, other than just the camaraderie of walking with a team and the competition that goes on between our communities as we strive to be one of the leading fundraisers, contributors to the walk itself. So
that young lady was Olivia Broadwater. The comments are letting us know. And people have that same memory too, and they love that memory. So that's awesome. Thank you, Olivia, for singing for us if you're ever watching this. But yeah, I think to echo everyone, that Promise Garden ceremony, if you've never attended, it is just chills. Like as you're speaking about it, I'm getting goosebumps right now because it's such a beautiful moment and you get that glimmer of hope and care, and it's wonderful. But then one thing that I think is really cool that you mentioned is from a corporate perspective, why you guys walk and you guys can come and it's team building, and then you have competition between buildings. And one thing I think is really cool is when you're at the walk and you see these big teams come together all in their matching shirts, whether it says a facility name on it or a family team name on it. Just what a great way to get out and support each other, and just the marketing aspect too, right? Just being a corporate team. Yeah, and one of my favorite things that I've seen, and it was when I had first started with the association, was American Senior Communities actually does a flash mob every year to raise awareness. Do you mind telling us about that?
Yeah, actually, we started doing a flash mob a few years ago. Our first flash mob, if I recall, it was before I returned with American Senior Communities, but it was at the airport. And basically, they take the statistics that the Alzheimer's Association puts out on their statistical page. They put those on some large cards, and they slowly start to fan those statistics in. And then we break out into a flash mob dance. Last year, we did it at Circle Center. Down at the Circle, which was great fun. We were all on the steps of the Circle, and we've got some special plans this year as well. And we normally do the flash mob for the longest day to heighten awareness for the longest day. That being the longest, every day is the longest day for those caring for an individual with Alzheimer's and like forms of dementia. And so we will be doing another flash mob. You just wait and see. But it will be utilizing our social distancing, and the association's not fully aware of this until now, but our flash dance this year will be virtual, and we're really excited, and we'll be putting that out virtually on the longest day itself to heighten awareness and allow folks to click through and provide donations to our team as we continue to heighten that awareness.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you guys are still going forward with it. I know it's always a great experience to see it. And thanks to American Senior Communities for their continued support of us. Really exciting. Melanie said on comments, the flash mobs were always so much fun. And then a memory from the Columbus Walk. Family member sang a song to his wife with early onset Alzheimer's that he wrote himself. And the song was called I Signed Up for This. And there was not a dry eye there. Like, oh, that gave me goosebumps too. It's just so cool to see the creative ways people express their love for their loved ones and what they're going through in this right now. Since you mentioned the longest day, I'll go ahead and I'm gonna shout out some different ways. If you don't want to do the walk, there's other ways that you can get involved. The longest day is a great do-it-yourself fundraiser that we have in the association, and it's statewide. It happens on the summer solstice because the longest day of the year is, like Vicki said, every day is the longest day of the year for a loved one or a caregiver. And you can get signed up for TLD anytime. And my family likes to do a big barbecue together because we love food, and that's our do-it-yourself. You can do a flash mob, people go fishing. There's all kinds of ways that you can do that. If you're in the Indianapolis area, we do have a young professionals flag football team that is rivals, and you can go ahead and sign up with them, the Blondes versus the Brunettes. They're very competitive, and they raise money for us as well. And then we also have Chocolate Sunday, which is a chocolate champagne brunch, and that is only based here in the Indianapolis area. And then obviously we have the walk. So the walk is our largest fundraiser, but there are all kinds of ways that you can get involved. And then just to shout it out again as well, if you have not signed up for the walk this year, we would love to have you sign up. There's been times during this that we've had 50, 60 people watching. And if you have not signed up for the walk, please go sign up for that today. alz.org/Indiana/walk. You can find the walk closest to you in the state. There's 12 to choose from. Pick a date that works for you. And then just start fundraising. Even if it's $5 or $25, you can make a difference just with that little bit. So want to open it up to anybody who's on the panel. Any thoughts or advice or any memories you'd like to share with us before we go?
I just would like to say thank you to the association itself and adapting the way of doing things so quickly and accommodating to continue to be able to have our virtual meetings and to get the word out. The association is also providing some support group meetings virtually. They're providing some educational programs virtually. So please, if you need any additional information on that, reach out to Lydia or somebody at the association to get more information. Those have been extremely successful, especially for caregivers who are somewhat isolated right now due to social distancing. It's important for them to be able to continue to get the support that they need, to have somebody to talk through the challenges that they're having, and to know that they're not alone in this disease process and this fight. So the association is just a great resource to have.
I'm biased because I work for them, but I can't talk well enough about how well the association does with providing free programs and services, free help for family members and caretakers. I mean, it's just always encouraging, especially to hear stories like this where families have been affected and have reacted and gained the help that they needed. And it's wonderful. So want to thank each one of you again. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. If you would like to share your story, like our 4 panelists did today, I encourage you to get up and get on Facebook Live and just share your story with anybody who will listen. There's always going to be somebody out there that's going to need that help and support that you can give them. So thank you, Vicki, Tara, Kevin, Renee. Appreciate all of you. Again, if you want to sign up for the walk, alz.org/Indiana/walk. Find the one nearest to you, and then we'll go ahead and say bye to everybody.
Bye, thank
Thanks so
you.
much.
Bye, thank you guys.
Thanks so much.